Welcome to G Fun Facts Online. Today we're tackling a question that seems to defy common sense. How can people run marathons, not just once but for decades, and actually get healthier? We often picture marathon running as the ultimate physical punishment, an act that must surely wear down the body over time. But a growing body of science is telling us a completely different story. It turns out that for a dedicated group of lifelong runners, the 26.2-mile race isn't an endpoint, but a pathway to remarkable longevity. So let's decode the science of the long-run life. First, let's talk about the heart of the matter, literally, the heart. Every footstep on the pavement is part of a conversation with your cardiovascular system. Marathon training transforms your heart into a high-efficiency engine. It learns to pump more blood with every single beat. This means more oxygen gets to your working muscles, which scientists measure with something called VO2 max. Think of it as the horsepower of your aerobic engine. Over time, this makes your heart stronger, leading to a lower resting heart rate and lower blood pressure, two massive indicators of a healthy heart. The evidence is compelling. A massive meta-analysis, looking at over 232,000 people, found that running is associated with a 30% lower risk of dying from cardiovascular disease. Even more, studies on elite runners show they live, on average, almost 5 years longer than the general population, primarily because of their stellar heart health. Now, it's not a completely perfect picture. Some research has flagged potential risks, like a higher chance of atrial fibrillation in some middle-aged male runners, or temporary signs of cardiac fatigue right after a race. But these effects are often reversible, and the scientific consensus overwhelmingly points towards the profound, lasting benefits of marathon running for your heart. Okay, so the engine is strong, but what about the frame that carries it? This is where one of the biggest myths about running gets busted. We've all heard it. All that pounding will destroy your knees. It seems logical, but the science increasingly says it's wrong. In fact, multiple studies have found that recreational marathon runners have a lower rate of hip and knee arthritis than their non-running peers. One large survey of thousands of runners found no link at all between weekly mileage or the number of marathons run and the risk of arthritis. Some research even suggests running has a protective effect, finding runners had a more than 50% reduced risk for knee surgery due to osteoarthritis. How is this possible? The theory is that the cyclical loading and unloading of the joints during a run acts like a maintenance program. It helps keep cartilage healthy and strengthens the surrounding muscles and ligaments, which provide better support. Running also stimulates your bones to become denser and stronger, fighting off age-related bone loss and osteoporosis. This doesn't mean runners are invincible. Factors like a high BMI or previous injuries still play a role. But the takeaway is clear. Running doesn't automatically wreck your joints. It can actually make them more resilient. Beyond the heart and bones, marathon running wages an unseen battle against one of our most feared diseases, cancer. The link between physical activity and lower cancer risk is well established, and the vigorous nature of marathon training seems to offer significant protection. A major review found that running is associated with a 23% lower risk of cancer mortality. In the early days of the running boom, there was some worry that the free radicals produced during intense exercise could increase cancer risk. But we now know that our own exercising muscles produce antioxidants to fight this effect. The protective mechanisms are numerous. Running helps regulate hormones like insulin and estrogen, which can fuel certain cancers. It's a powerful tool for maintaining a healthy body weight, a huge factor in preventing many types of cancer. And it boosts your immune function, potentially helping your body to better detect and destroy rogue cells. The only real caveat here is skin cancer, due to long hours of training in the sun, but that's a risk that is easily managed with sunscreen and proper clothing. Of course, to run for a lifetime, you need the right fuel. And marathon nutrition has come a very, very long way. In the early 20th century, it was chaos. Runners were fueled with brandy or even strychnine, a poison, in the misguided belief it would provide a boost. Hydration was so poorly understood that at the 1904 Olympics, athletes were intentionally dehydrated based on flawed theories. Fast forward to the 1960s and 70s, and science starts to enter the picture with the invention of sports drinks like Gatorade, providing a mix of fluids, electrolytes, and carbs. Then, in the 80s, we got the first energy bars. Today, marathon nutrition is a personalized science. The focus is on a diet rich in complex carbohydrates to maximize our body's primary fuel stores, known as glycogen. Protein is also critical for muscle repair, with recommendations around 1.7 grams per kilogram of body weight. During the race itself, guidelines suggest consuming 60 to 90 grams of carbohydrates per hour, a world away from the underfueled runners of the past. This is achieved with a carefully planned mix of gels, chews, and drinks. For long-term runners, the daily diet is just as important, emphasizing whole foods, lean protein, and healthy fats. It's about giving your body the premium fuel it needs, not just on race day, but every day. Fueling is one thing, but how you train is arguably the biggest factor in running longevity. The biggest threat to a long-running career isn't a single race, it's overtraining. This is when you push your body too hard without enough recovery, leading to burnout, injury, and declining performance. To avoid this, successful long-term runners train smarter, not just harder. A popular and incredibly effective training philosophy for longevity is the 80-20th rule, famously used by the great Eliud Kipchoge. It dictates that 80% of your training should be done at a low conversational intensity, with only 20% at a high intensity. This approach allows you to build a massive aerobic base from high mileage, but without the constant stress and breakdown of high-intensity training. It makes you resilient. As runners age, they naturally need more recovery time, and strength training becomes even more crucial to maintain muscle mass and bone density. The goal shifts from peaking for one race to creating a sustainable system for a lifetime of healthy running. This brings us to the mental marathon. The battle fought between your ears is just as important as the one on the pavement. What keeps someone motivated through thousands of miles of training, year after year? For many, it's about more than just a finishing time. It's a source of self-confidence and a way to break through personal barriers. Long-term runners develop an arsenal of psychological tools. They learn to distract themselves from discomfort, to use positive self-talk, and, crucially, to tell the difference between the good pain of exertion and the bad pain of an injury. The mental benefits are profound. We know running improves mood, reduces stress, and enhances cognitive function, thanks to the release of neurochemicals like endocannabinoids. For many, a long run becomes a form of therapy, a way to find emotional balance and build a mental fortitude that carries over into every other aspect of life. Finally, we have to ask, are some people just born to run? The answer is partly. Genetics do play a role. Scientists have identified several genes that are more common in elite endurance athletes. For instance, a variant of the ACE gene is linked to better endurance. Other genes in the PPAR family are associated with enhanced metabolic efficiency, basically making you better at burning fat for fuel and creating mitochondria, the powerhouses of our cells. But here's the key. There is no single marathon gene. It's a complex combination of many genes, and even then, they only represent potential. It's the training, the nutrition, and the mindset that unlock that genetic potential. You might be born with a blueprint for a sports car, but you still have to build the car, maintain it, and learn how to drive it. So when we look at the lifelong marathoner, we see a living example of human resilience. The science shows a body that is adapted in remarkable ways: a stronger heart, more resilient joints, a boosted immune system, and a finely tuned metabolism. By embracing a smart approach to training, fueling the body correctly, and cultivating mental fortitude, these athletes show us that the finish line doesn't have to be the end. It can be the start of a longer, healthier, and more vibrant life. The enduring magic of the marathon isn't just in conquering 26.2 miles, but in the incredible journey it takes you on for a lifetime.